Okay, hello, we're here with Mark Bayley from the Genealogist.co.uk. So, tell us, Mark, what's new?
Hi, well, we've just released several new record sets for the show. A couple of those are military record sets, so we have the complete casualty lists as published by the War Office. So, not sure if you know the statistics of the Great War. Over 700,000 people died fighting on the front line. Over 150,000 people were captured as prisoners of war. And over 1.6 million people were injured in the Great War. They're horrific statistics. And the War Office published daily lists of all the all ranks of people that were injured, captured as prisoners of war, had perished, or were indeed reported as missing. So the casualty lists contain a great wealth of information, and we've transcribed all those records and put them on the site. And we like to smart match technology, use our smart match technology, so with the birth and marriage and death records are all linked together. Our casualty records are interlinked with the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. So if you find in the casualty records that your ancestor had indeed died, then it has a link to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission for the grave of your ancestor. It shows you where the graveyard is, and then also gives you the location, the plot reference to find your ancestor's war grave as well. Another collection we've just released are the War Memorials, so another military collection. They detail anything from the Boer War, so the early 1900s, right up to 1980s with the Northern Ireland conflicts, as well as the First and Second World War. They're great because they don't just list the person's name, but they also usually enter the rank and regiment of the person. And they're also interlinked as well, like I say, with that smart match technology, into records of the actual memorial itself. So you can see an image of your ancestor's name on the memorial. You can also see a summary of that memorial, so summary images of the memorial, a link to Google Maps showing you the precise location of the memorial, a street view reference so you can see like a virtual reality version of that memorial, and it's also linked to the Imperial War Museum's War Memorial Archive. So that goes into further details of the memorial that tells you who built the memorial, how it was paid for, whether it's a subscription base or whether a person, an individual paid for it. Give you a lot more detail about the condition of that memorial. So there's two exciting new military collections. We also just released our naturalisation and denization collection. Right? So those people that have ancestors that were born, born across overseas, and of course moved to Britain and wanted to become a British citizen, they have the option of either being naturalised or to pay for a denization. Now, denization was a much cheaper form of becoming a British subject, but it meant that you were restricted. You didn't have the rights to be able to vote in the elections, you couldn't become an MP, and there's some other restrictions as well. But it was much cheaper, and most people could afford a denization. Naturalisation, the earlier you go, had more requirements and more cost to it. So in 1844 and before, you actually had to have an Act of Parliament granted specifically for your naturalisation, so not many people could afford that, but they could afford a denization. So these records, over 150,000 records so far, and it's a really rapidly expanding area. We've got about 1960 back to 1609. They give you obviously the details of the naturalisation or the denization, both names, because obviously when someone became a British subject, they usually conformed to an anglicised name. More frustrating for us genealogists, they usually pick something like John Smith or something really common to try and find. But we've transcribed both names so you can search on either of those. And they also usually give you the certificate reference. You can use that certificate to order the certificate from the National Archives and get even further details about your ancestors.
Great, that sounds like it's going to be a very interesting year at the Genealogist.co.uk.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.